The Waking Dream. It is now time to wake up, dear Maker. When a potential possibility is manifested as reality, the surface of the dual mirror shows a symmetrical image. The sector of the metaphysical alternatives space lies on one side of the mirror, and the material manifestation lies on the other. All living beings are balanced on the edge of the mirror because their body and mind relate to the material world, while their soul remains inseparably connected to the alternatives space. We come into this life from the alt space and return there like actors stepping off stage for a costume change, only to reappear in a new role. In this endless theater, we play one part, then move backstage, don on a new mask, and step back into the performance, forgetting everything from before. Immersed in each role, we lose touch with our true selves. Like William Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They all have their exits and their entrances. Sometimes the wool falls away from the actor's eyes, and suddenly they become aware that it's not their first time on stage. How funny is this gif? Oh, I couldn't stop laughing at it, and I wanted to share with you guys. Ian Stevenson, an American professor of psychiatry, documented over 2,500 cases of past life memories, most of which involved children. Without hypnosis, these children described lives from distant times and places. In one case, twin brothers spoke to each other in what seemed like random sounds. At age 3, the linguist discovered they were speaking Old Aramaic, a language from the time of Christ that was no longer spoken. Another story involved a Yugoslavian girl who, after falling ill and regaining consciousness, began speaking a Bengali dialect. She claimed her home was in India and recognized her house when taken there, though its residents had long passed. Adults also have reported similar cases. A 27-year-old woman traveling through Germany recognized places that she'd never visited before. She identified her supposed former home, recalled family names, and even recounted the details of a tragic accident confirmed by a local pub patron who had known the family. Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss is also another groundbreaking book that explores the profound journey of a psychiatrist and his patient through past life regression therapy. Dr. Weiss, initially a traditional therapist, encounters an extraordinary experience with his patient, Catherine, who under hypnosis begins to recall details of her past lives. These sessions reveal not only multiple lifetimes, but also messages from spiritual beings or masters that offer wisdom about life, death, and the nature of the soul. Dolores Cannon was another pioneering hypnotherapist and author renowned for extensive work in past life regression. Over her 40-year career, she developed a unique technique called quantum healing hypnosis, which goes into the subconscious to uncover past life memories and facilitate profound healing. Cannon's sessions often reveal detailed and vivid accounts of previous life, extraterrestrial experiences, and encounters with higher consciousness, challenging conventional views of reality and spirituality. If you consider all these facts, then there can be hardly any doubt in the existence of reincarnation. There's just one thing that leaves us undecided. Why are cases remembered of past lives so rare and occur in such a small number of people? People mainly remember past lives in their early childhood, but with time they're erased from memory. Everyone can remember their past incarnations if they wake up from the daydream of life. We know that up until the age of 4, a child is incapable of distinguishing a dream from reality. It may be that children can also recall their past lives, but the rational worldview is strongly imposed upon them before they become aware of it. Also, very few people have any memories before the age of 4. Why is that, do you think? Is it because the child is irrational, not yet self-aware? No, this is a great common delusion, for in reality, awareness in children is much higher than it is in adults. It is the adults who become immersed in the subconscious daydream and are as a result unable to recall their past lives or their early childhood. Let us look at how this happens. When the soul is reborn into a new body, it sits in the background while the mind takes the wheel. So, what is the mind? From the moment of birth, the mind is a clean sheet of paper which anything can be written. From the very beginning, a template is placed onto the sheet in accordance with which the individual perceives themselves and the reality of their day-to-day life. The more detailed the template is, the greater the chasm between the heart and the mind. An individual's awareness of reality will be exactly what they have been taught it should be. Awareness can be divided into two levels. The first is attention, and the second is perception. In the initial period after birth, perception has not been clouded by anything external, and so the child's ability for intuition and clairvoyance are wide open. In other words, the child has direct access to the information from the alt space and perceives the world just as it is. However, dream-seeing adults take the newborn in hand and immediately squeeze it into the narrow dream framework they take to be conscious existence. This is achieved by limiting the child's freedom and holding its attention on quote-unquote real things. The child is forced to concentrate its attention on the attributes of reality. Look here, listen to me, don't do that, do this. Once the attention span is captured, the child's perspective is sharply narrowed, awareness is lost, and the individual sinks into a condition differing very little from unconscious dreaming. When your attention is narrowly focused, it's like walking with your gaze fixed on your shoes. You miss everything around you. Society's stereotypes further boxes you into rigid ideas of how things should be. In this state of subconscious dreaming, your attention and perception are fully programmed. You accept situations as they are, feeling powerless to change them. Events unfold as if beyond your control, driven by your fears and expectations, while your thoughts flow uncontrollably, shaping the script of your life. In lucid dreaming, awareness is heightened and the dreamer can shape events with their will. Once they realize it's just a dream, they unlock incredible abilities. In this state, anything is possible, even flying, because their attention and perception are no longer restricted. It's like lifting your head, looking around, and finally seeing your situation clearly. In waking life, awareness often drops. Thoughts are randomly driven by worries, irritations, or fears that dominate the mind. These negative reactions and expectations shape reality, often against a person's will. Attention gets trapped by problems and heavy thoughts, leaving them consumed by concerns, much like being lost in a daydream. This is what we call being a grown-up. A mature person considers a child irrational in as far as they fail to fit with the dream. Naturally, the child has to learn to survive in new conditions. Yet inevitably, the paradox arises. The more efficiently the child assimilates the rules of behavior within the narrow limits of the material world, the lower their level of awareness falls, which leads to a loss of capacity to influence the course of events and perceive the metaphysical side of reality. Adults become trapped by their own games and circumstances the moment they take them too seriously and let their minds become fully absorbed. In contrast, children remain masters of their game. They have greater awareness because they instinctively know it's just a game. They keep importance low, act without attachment, and observe like spectators, all because they understand it's not real, it's just play. There are no more games for adults though, for life is a very serious matter. On the one hand, this is true. On the other hand, this attitude changes human existence into an unconscious waking dream. Of course, the adult is aware of the fact that in any given moment, they are awake rather than asleep. Yet, this does not really change anything, for desires are not fulfilled, dreams do not come true, and our worst expectations are confirmed as if to spite us. Life unfolds randomly and not in any way we want it to. It turns out that the individual is master of their reality in lucid dreaming and yet impotent in waking. It is all relative. In lucid dreaming, you remember who you are, the one watching the dream. You know the dream will vanish when you wake up, but while you're in it, you can guide it with your intention. Without this awareness, the dream controls you, leaving you trapped by circumstances and conditioned patterns. The ability to control your dreams comes from being aware of yourself within the dream, anchored to the knowledge of waking reality. This awareness provides a reference point to return to upon waking. In contrast, waking life often feels like an unconscious dream where events simply happen. Without memories of past lives or a clear reference point, it becomes harder to reach a higher level of awareness. Reality differs from a dream in that you always return to it. In order to determine whether it is a dream or reality, you have to determine your point of reference because both the dream and reality are relative. Dreams are not real relative to reality. Relative to what then is reality itself unreal? Where is the reference point for reality? When a person dies, they return to their original starting point. With each new life, they forget this and become absorbed in the next dream. If you could remember who you truly are, you would realize that you can consciously shape the dream of life. Changing your worldview is challenging because it's like a fixed stencil imprinted on your mind, difficult to erase or alter. The only way to create a new one is to detach from the old. This shift often happens in altered states of consciousness, such as during sleep or under the influence of psychedelic agents and plant medicines. In a normal state of consciousness, the heart and mind are aligned with the realized sector of the alt space, allowing the mind to view reality clearly, like looking through a window. Under the influence of alcohol or drugs, the alignment is disrupted, causing the soul to shift to an unrealized sector of the alt space. As a result, a person physically remains in the real world but perceives it differently. For example, a familiar house or street may look strange or dreamlike. The person might not find a door where it used to be or see the place as chaotic and unrecognizable. People they know may appear entirely different even. In reality, nothing has changed. It's just that their perception is now tuned to a different, unrealized version of the alt space. In non-lucid dreams, the mind releases control even further, allowing the soul to wander into distant, unrealized sectors of the alt space where anything can happen. These sectors can range from heavenly bliss to horrifying nightmares. You might find yourself in a surreal, chaotic world filled with massive, clanking machinery or a grim, filthy environment resembling a slaughterhouse. You could be lost in an unfamiliar city, aimlessly wandering with no idea how you got there or where to go. The people might appear strange or unsettling, and the animals wild and menacing. In these distant sectors, the script and scenery are entirely unpredictable. When you wake up from a dream like that, you experience a huge sense of relief. Thank God it was only a dream. And yes, it was a dream, but not an illusion in the normal sense of the word, an unrealized metaphysical reality. The scariest thing about it is that the dreamer sees all these virtual characters and can do whatever they want with them in accordance with their fears and expectations. God protect us from ever ending up in such a physical reality. When astronauts, or cosmonauts in this case, are in orbit, they apparently see quite unearthly dreams. For example, in his published diaries, Strekalov writes, "I have strange dreams. Sometimes I'm filled with wonder and have no motivation or will to communicate. Clearly, the brain, like a highly complex computer, malfunctions from exhaustion or receives external information from the planetary information field where everything is written and recorded for eternity." After experiencing dreams like this that can never have originated from ordinary human consciousness, the transurfing postulate on the existence of the alt space would not have surprised this cosmonaut at all. A model of human perception is well described in the books of Carlos Castaneda and Theun Mares. Their model reflects the ideas of the Toltec, the last people to originate from Atlantis. According to their teachings, the human being is surrounded by a shining cocoon of energy consisting of numerous threads. Somewhere in the area of the shoulder blades, the threads join in a single focus called an assemblage point. The position of the assemblage point determines the nature of your perception. When combining the Toltec model with transurfing, you might say that when the assemblage point is in its usual position, a person perceives physical reality as it is, aligned with a realized sector of the alt space. If the point shifts, this synchronicity is disrupted, allowing the person to perceive unrealized areas of the field. For most people, the assemblage point remains fixed. However, if the focus is disturbed and the point starts to wander, a person may develop clairvoyant abilities. Shifts in the assemblage point also influence our dreams. It's crucial that the point returns to its natural position after shifting. If it gets stuck in an unnatural position, the mind may experience changes commonly referred to as insanity. People who are capable of intentionally shifting their assemblage point can shape reality and are lucid dreamers. This shifting of this assemblage point, or as it's referred to in Tufti as the plate or braid, is a technique that's used to amplify intention. And we'll learn about this in another program that will be additive knowledge to the transurfing training. Okay, let's get back to it. You can count the people who have been known to reach enlightenment on the fingers of one hand. Reaching enlightenment is like being in a strange city, desperately wandering along narrow, winding streets, and then soaring high up into the sky where you suddenly have a bird's eye view of everything below you. Like a line on the palm of your hand, the path to your goal becomes instantly obvious. Transurfing will not lift you up to the height of a bird, but it will show you a path you can walk with your eyes closed. To wake up in a dream, you have to have a reference point. You understand that it is a dream when you remember that there is another reality, true reality. Your reference point can be the knowledge that in life you can raise your consciousness up a rung, or at the very least, half a rung, and that is of itself quite something. Imagine you're walking down the street, talking to someone, or doing your daily tasks. Stop and wake up. Look around you with a clear mind and notice what's really happening. You have the power to guide your world in the right direction using intention. While reality doesn't shift as easily as a dream, it can still be influenced through transurfing principles. The first step is to wake up. Be aware that reality is like a dream. Only in lucid dreaming can you fully control the situation. When you're daydreaming, you're not in control, you're battling with pendulums. Come down into the auditorium and observe. Behave dispassionately, rent yourself out, and remain the observer. In order to retain your level of awareness, it is essential to keep consistent control of the flow of your thoughts. When this becomes a habit, it is automatic and requires no effort. For once you have woken up in your dream, you no longer have to make any effort to maintain the awareness that it is all a dream. You can learn to control the flow of your thoughts in the same way. At first, though, you have to systematically call yourself to wake up before it becomes a habit. When you remember to act dispassionately, you become conscious. You step off the stage into the auditorium or remain on stage as an observing participant. This level of awareness is enough to apply the key transurfing principles. Reduce importance, follow the alt flow, and practice coordination. These principles help you navigate life smoothly, avoiding problems, even blindly. Later, you'll learn about another powerful tool for shaping reality, the dual mirror. We round up this topic with one more question. If somewhere in the alt space there is a point of reference prior to your current life relative to which reality seems a dream, then what would mark the origin of this initial reference point? You could continue to ask, is there an initial reference point for God himself? Let those who like to be nourished by hope struggle with this question. It is the same as asking whether anything exists beyond the visible universe. We can never know, just as butterflies collecting nectar in Africa cannot know that there's such a place as America and that flowers grow there too. Is not our world wonderful enough? Why should we constantly demand an explanation to everything from it when we could simply enjoy the nectar of the flowers we can reach? And remember, it's important that we wake up in the dream. Use any scenario, big or small, as a cue to wake up. Bump into something? I see myself, I see reality. Washing your hands? awake and aware. Sunlight touches your eyes, true sight, true life. Drinking water, awake in truth. See your reflection, again, I see myself, I see reality. This one's my favorite from Tufti because it allows you to keep your attention both in your inner and outer worlds. I see myself, I see reality.